Tonight, you will probably eat in front of a screen, alone, fork in one hand, phone in the other. It feels normal. It is not normal. For nearly the entire history of your species, eating by yourself would have been almost unthinkable. Your body still remembers this. Your brain still expects this. And the reason why is far stranger than simple habit. Go back 2 million years. A small band of early humans moves across the grasslands of East Africa. One of them has found something valuable. Not a fruit tree, not a handful of nuts. Meat, a carcass, maybe scavenged, maybe hunted. And here is the strange part. That person does not eat it alone in a corner. They call the others over. Why would you give away food you work to find? Wouldn't it make more sense to eat fast, eat first, eat in secret? The anthropologist Richard Wrangham has spent decades studying exactly this question. His research suggests that food sharing wasn't just kindness. It was survival math. Meat spoiled fast. Hunts failed often. A hunter who succeeded today might fail for the next 10 days. So sharing meat wasn't generosity. It was insurance. You fed others today so that others fed you tomorrow. This is the part that changes everything. Eating together wasn't a nice bonus your ancestors added to survival. Eating together was survival. Think about that for a second. A meal wasn't just calories. It was a contract. Every shared plate was a promise. I will remember this. I will return the favor. Now picture the opposite. A member of the group who hoards food, who eats alone in the shadows, away from the fire. What happens to that person? They get remembered too, but not kindly. Researchers studying small-scale foraging, societies today have found something remarkable. Groups have almost no tolerance for hoarders. Someone who repeatedly eats alone or refuses to share gets quietly frozen out. Not punished with violence, punished with distance. And in a world with no supermarkets, no refrigerators, no backup plan, distance from the group was often a death sentence. So sharing food wasn't a moral nicety layered on top of survival. It was the survival strategy itself. This is where the story gets even stranger. Because eating together didn't just keep your ancestors alive physically, it appears to have rewired how their brains grew. The psychologist Robin Dunbar built an entire career studying how primates bond. Chimpanzees, he found, bond mostly through grooming, picking bugs out of each other's fur, one-on-one, for hours. It works, but it's slow. It doesn't scale. You can only groom one friend at a time. Dunbar's research suggests that as human groups grew larger, our ancestors needed a faster way to bond dozens of people at once. Grooming couldn't keep up, but a shared meal could. Around one fire, with one carcass, an entire group could bond simultaneously, laughing, talking, watching each other's faces in the firelight. A meal became something grooming never could be, a group event. This might be why, even now, food shared with others tastes different to you, not chemically, psychologically. Have you ever noticed that a mediocre meal with people you love feels better than a great meal eaten in silence? That's not sentimentality. That's 2 million years of biology whispering that this is how eating is supposed to feel. There's a darker layer to this story too, because sharing meat wasn't only about kindness. It was also about power. The primatologist Craig Stanford spent years observing chimpanzees hunting and sharing meat in the wild. What he documented was surprising. Meat sharing among chimps wasn't random generosity. It was strategic. Powerful males shared meat with allies, with potential mates, with individuals whose loyalty mattered. Meat became currency. A shared meal was a favor that created a debt. Now look at your ancestors. Sitting around that same fire, passing food hand to hand, every piece given was a message. I trust you. I need you. Remember this. A meal wasn't just nutrition being distributed. It was a social network being built, one bite at a time. This explains something strange about your own instincts today. Why do business deals happen over dinner instead of in silent conference rooms? Why does almost every major life event, weddings, funerals, holidays, revolve around a shared table? Why does declining an invitation to eat together feel like a small social wound, even when no words are exchanged? Because deep in your wiring, a shared meal was never just about food. It was about belonging. And exclusion from a meal was, for most of human history, exclusion from the group itself. Here's where the twist really lands. For all of that evolutionary history, nearly 2 million years of it, humans almost never ate in true isolation. Even sick or injured group members were often fed by others rather than left to fend for themselves. Some researchers studying early human remains have found evidence suggesting that individuals who could no longer hunt or gather were still being nourished by their group. Someone was still bringing them food, still sitting with them. Solitary eating, by contrast, has existed for barely a blink of that timeline. Refrigerators, individually packaged meals, food delivered to a door, a person eating dinner at a desk under fluorescent light. All of that is new. All of that is recent. Your genes have no idea what to make of it. And yet you do it constantly. Studies on modern eating habits have found that a significant share of daily meals in many industrialized countries are now eaten completely alone. No conversation, no shared fire, just you, a screen, and a plate. Your body doesn't register this as convenience. It registers it faintly as isolation. The same circuitry that once told your ancestors that a shared meal meant safety now sits quietly unused, or worse, misfires as a low hum of loneliness you can't quite explain. This doesn't mean every solitary meal is some evolutionary crisis. You are allowed to eat alone. You are allowed to enjoy silence. But it might explain why, after weeks of rushed solo meals, something in you starts craving a table full of people, even if you can't name exactly what you're craving. It also might explain why food, of all things, remains one of the most powerful tools humans have for repairing broken relationships. An apology over coffee, a reunion over dinner. A shared meal doesn't just say, "I'm sorry." It says something older than words. It says, "You still belong at this fire." So tonight, when you sit down to eat, notice what your body is quietly asking for. Not just food, company. A version of that same fire your ancestors gathered around 2 million years and one long unbroken thread of shared meals ago. Because you weren't built to eat alone. You were built to eat together. And somewhere underneath the noise of modern life, a very old part of you is still waiting for someone to pull up a chair.